Steam locomotives were some of the most powerful machines ever built. They pulled trains that fueled our imagination. They represented vision, collaboration, ingenuity, customer service, and extraordinary human achievement. But in order to get to their destination, it took someone guiding them through a series of switches in order to get to the main line. Just like leaders today, it takes someone directing them down the right path in order to get to their destination. Welcome to Mainline Executive Coaching ACT, which stands for and Cultural Transformation, hosted by Master Certified Intelligent Leadership Executive Coaches Maikel Bailey and Rich Barron, with over 50 years of successful cultural transformation and quantum leadership development between them. Brought to you by Intelligent Leadership Executive Coaching, the world's foremost authority on cultural transformation and intelligent leadership development. Once again, thanks for joining us and enjoy today's show.
Good to you, wherever you are. This is Mainline Executive Coaching, ACT, and Cultural Transformation. Mainline Executive Coaching leaders. Are you ready to lead? Are you leading now? How well are you leading? Are you being your best in your leading? All those kind of crazy questions you probably wonder about yourself. Here's a question you may not have been wondering about yourself. When you take a look at your culture, some of you understand that your culture, your organization, company, corporation is really a reflection of you, the leader, because you really set the tone in so many ways. So sometimes we can get a little bit mixed up between what we see going on in the culture and not seeing what's really causing it. So the question we have for you today is this: leaders, do you fear your culture will expose who you really are? Kind of an interesting question. Well, culture is going to expose who it is that I really am. Well, if the culture is reflecting who it is you are, there's the mirror right there, right, Rich? Let's get into that. Let's get in and talk about that. So, what about that, Rich? What are your thoughts on that?
There is so much going around about culture. We've got a great culture. We're building a great culture. You ought to come check out the culture in our company. But yet when pressed and we ask these people about culture, very, very few can define what culture really is. What makes culture great in an organization? And there's even global surveys, Maikel, that back this up, where, in a recent one, we've talked about this a lot. 7,000 global leaders asked about culture in their organization. Just about all of them agreed that culture was important. But when you really started breaking down the nuts and bolts and getting into the hard questions, it got down to the point that, very, very few really had, or what they thought they had, was culture in their organization.
19%.
Yeah, it was very few. And that's globally. Now, if you're looking at that on a global basis, a global scale, and how many organizations out there and how many people in those organizations say, yeah, we got a great culture. And then you find out that, no, they don't, that makes you wonder. And honestly, it's not really making me wonder because we talk to these people. And every time we bring it up to some of these people about culture, well, let's talk about culture. No, I'm good. We're good. We got a great culture.
I think there's a big confusion about culture. Culture is a pretty rich fabric when you take a look at it in any organization. It's just not a single thing or several things. It's actually a really kind of a tapestry. And I think that a lot of people think if we've got a great attitude, that's our culture. Or if we have a can-do attitude, that represents a great culture. Great culture is so much more than that. It's so much deeper than that. Just a good attitude. Yes, we got da-da-da. Something that can really be faked well. People can fake good attitudes. People can fake, the can-do attitude. Right. And some people are really, really good. They're just amazingly good at it. What you really want to take a look at in terms of a culture is something completely, absolutely different. And let's start with what we talked about, the golden triangle.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
It's that arbitrator who sits at the top of this. It's not like he's sitting at the top of the mound. It's just description. But the CEO who can be a really true, fair-minded arbitrator who looks at facts as they are,
Yes.
doesn't add his own or her own prejudices, biases. And then here's another one, hidden agendas. They don't want anybody else to know about it, just a select few, this little cabal that they know about it, who can actually see things as they are. That includes facts, includes data. It also looks at how the team's working together. And again, not just data, but it's also how they feel about each other. What I know, that whole thing of relationship, that's a big part of what we go to work about. If they can look at it that way, they are amazing. Because so often these leaders, the CEO leaders, will lean into, well, why'd you make that decision? Because it doesn't really seem like it's a completely well thought out, considered decision. Well, we had to do it because we have to get these results. They kind of lean into the driver. We had to get it. We had to get these things done, and that's why we just had to do it. We kind of had to, put some other things out of our minds right at the moment because we just had to do it. That becomes the culture. We just have to do it. It's kind of an expediency thing. The other way they can lean into it is like, well, it was the right thing to do. It was the morally right thing to do here. And oftentimes that moralism is kind of relative.
Yeah.
You might say we're watching this right now play out in our House of Representatives. They bring, well, they're doing this and they're doing that, and it's like, it's just like, this is the relativism of the House, and they're just playing on these sayings, these slogans, just depending on what it is they want. They'll pull this one out, but another time they'll come out and say something completely different, depending on what it is they want. So being an arbitrator, a really fine leader, and having that arbitrator leadership trait is incredibly difficult.
It is. It's
like
very
it would
difficult.
be easy. It just seems that way, but it's not. It is incredibly difficult to be open-minded, fair-minded, not to the point where you're going to let anything influence you, but then also really solidly ensconced in and founded on your real core values and principles. Yeah. It's really hard. That's why there are just so very few really good CEOs. Let's talk about that a little bit, about how easy it is to think you are a great, fair-minded leader, but maybe you're not.
Maybe you're not. We talked about this earlier today. These superpowers that great leaders seem to have. Mm-hmm. Empathy, is one. Being able to train and teach people about their vision without arrogance, without hubris, with being able to just bring them on board. That's a trick in and of itself. How do you do that? And we've looked at this, global surveys again, those great facts that we talk about. 75% of all leaders out there really are struggling.
Big time.
20% doing better, 5% of the real rock stars. And those are actual surveys that, we can show that are time and time again. But yet 100% of those leaders out there are going to tell you, we got great culture. We got great culture.
What was one of the things we saw in that particular article we were looking at? The first thing was curiosity.
Curiosity, yes.
And when that whole thing about we got great culture here, it is sometimes such a knee-jerk reaction. It really is indicative of what's really going on here, is we're just trying to survive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're trying to survive the new world, the new business world.
Oh, yeah, and all sorts of things, right? Yeah. And so when you're just trying to survive, it's very difficult to be curious.
Yeah.
And yet that's one of the things that businesses look for in a leader, hiring a leader, is what is their level of curiosity?
Yes.
See, that sets up a whole new kind of discussion, a whole new type of person. It creates, you can't make and fake curiosity. You bring curiosity. And there's a whole background to curiosity that really demonstrates and highlights that trait.
Yes, absolutely.
And one of those would be, what do you read? What do you listen to?
Yeah.
How, when you listen to people, when you talk to people, are you genuinely curious, or are you just looking for the right answers?
Well, and a lot of these people, it's not just about being curious, it's about being curious about the right things. Being mindful and demonstrating, an actual curiosity and interest in meaningful and insightful areas, not just curious about how I can get to the next level.
Yeah.
So you
But
got
self-interest.
yes, yeah, not self-interest, but interest in how did the nuts and bolts of this organization work, and how can I make it better? That
Can you think of a
curiosity.
person that you've talked to in the past, I don't care how far, who is a person who was genuinely curious, and they were a person of power. They really had power. At the same time, they were genuinely curious. Have you had? I've not had too many discussions. I have had some, and they're exemplary and exceptional, because
Exceptional.
it's not,
This,
it
yeah.
doesn't happen a lot.
No, it doesn't happen a lot, but these people are the ones that you find out that they have this aura about them, if you will. It says the superpower we talk about. They're not afraid of being exposed. Their weakness is exposed. And I think that's some of the things that we talk about, Maikel, is they're curious enough to find out what is going on with the organization, but humble enough to realize that I don't have all the answers. And by so doing, exposing this curiosity, it may expose some of my weaknesses.
Which really is a testament to them of their confidence. Genuine,
Absolutely. Yeah.
real confidence, not faked confidence,
Yeah.
but authentic confidence that they've really been able to put together, over a period of time, very consciously, deliberately, which kind of leads to that next one that was like being able to strategically plan. That kind of sounds similar, doesn't it?
It
You
does.
think about it,
Absolutely.
the arbitrator, then you've got you got to do the strategy stuffs to get people excited about things. I mean, those are two different leadership styles: the strategy leader and the emotional leader. But being able to go there, that's kind of an interesting thing. If you can't see things clearly, how do you know you have real confidence in your strategy?
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, because strategic thinking doesn't come first.
All right.
It comes based on, critical thinking, that looking at all the data, looking at all the big picture, and then coming up with a plan based on that.
Yeah, that's right. And if it's not a really, again, it's the idea of the arbitrator. Let's do what's really the good thing to do, the right thing to do to get the results, and to make sure that we're grounded in our values, principles of what we do here. Let's then put together that strategic plan. Let's get excited about it. And then when you take it to the team, as you move that into the team and these different teams that are working there, what you're really looking for is not just buy-in to do the work. You're also looking for, are they connecting?
Are they
Are they
connecting?
connecting at a very deep level of let's do this. Let's go after this.
And I think there's something too that we're taking it to the team from being the arbitrator, the strategic thinker. But taking to the team also means you understand your plan, and you've got the right people in place in your team that can really connect with who you are and what the vision is, what the plan is, and has the talents and skills to help make this work.
And also the willingness to learn new things and to do new things and to test new things out. In other words, be willing to be innovative.
Right.
They don't have to have all the answers. They don't have to be all right. It's not this little group think of, we've got it all, we know it all. It's more of a, like, again, if you take a look at each of those, the curiosity, the ability to put together the strategic plan, and then taking it to the team, all of those are very much fed by curiosity.
Yes.
How are we going to make this work? How about this? How about that? And then the confidence to take it to the next step.
Yeah.
The arbitrator is very hard. Getting it right and then putting into a strategy is very hard. Probably the hardest thing of all is getting it to the team and getting them excited to buy into it and now do it. That's probably the hardest thing.
And I think there's three things when we talk about this. I think there's three things that are really important with the arbitrator and the strategic thinker, and being able to take that to the team, which is in turn your organization, which builds the culture of your company. But there's the three things I think that's really critical from that curiosity. It's simply not just the what, It's not the how. Those are two key elements, but it's also the why. Those three things are critical. And we talked to a lot of people who know the what, they know the how, they have not addressed the why.
That's why it's hard. I mean,
The why is the hard part. Yeah.
if you really dig into why, it can leave a lot of people with a lot of blank faces.
Yeah. And it's not something that comes easily. The why is something that really needs to be worked at. Why are we doing this? Why does it need to be done? You know, you can figure out the what and the how, but the why is critical. And I think when we talk about organizational culture, why do we need a good culture? Why? You know, it's not the what, it's not just the how. Those are key elements. It's not or let's call this something different. The mission, the vision, and the purpose being the why. You know, companies have the mission and vision, but when it really comes down to that purpose, you know, what is the purpose of those organizations? That there defines a lot of what the culture is.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because why, when you really start getting down to whys, I mean, really deep into whys, they will always reduce down to relationships. The relationship that you have with your clients. Why are we doing it? This is why we're doing it for the client. It also will reduce down to the people that you're working with, your teams, the leaders. This is why we're doing it for the sake of the team and for the leaders. We're doing it for this. It also gets to another place where the why applies to you. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why does this have any real meaning and purpose for me? Because if I don't get all those whys lined up, the whole thing it becomes kind of empty. Yeah, you can produce things, but are you really doing things for the sake of the people, which is about the relationships? Because without the people there, I mean, there's all sorts of nutty things going on about, I won't even get into it, but it seems to want to take out of the equation people. Once you take people out of the equation, there really is no reason, there is no why to do anything.
No.
People are ultimately the answer to the why.
And Michael, we've seen this. We've seen this with some leaders. Some leaders, there's like a particular clique at the top.
Yeah.
We want to make the decisions. We want the how, we want the what for us. We don't really care about the why, because as long as the how and the what is about us, you know, and this is some of the things we even know organizations that are failing because of this.
Absolutely.
Because they've thought, well, we better ask our people what they think about us, about the organization. Made the biggest mistake in the world of doing it themselves. Sending out, you know, all these surveys, these cultural surveys that they come up with themselves. Then when they find out, well, wow, they really don't think that highly of me.
They don't like me?
Yeah, I better not address this, because if I address this, someone's might, you know,
Who filled this survey out?
Yeah. Yeah, and don't forget to put your name on there.
Yeah, your email address anyway.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, and that's why what we do is so critical to helping organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in order to do that, leaders, you need to get past the fact that you are going to hear some things you may not want to hear. It may expose some of your weaknesses.
There you go.
And that's
why you've got to be that arbitrator.
That you got to hear
the bad news as well as the good news. And I get all jacked up and emotional about it, or, you know, hurt, you know, offended, you know, that you can say, okay, well, if they're saying this, there must be something to it. Let's look into it and find out what's going on.
You know, it's interesting you say that about being an arbitrator, and being a mature, effective arbitrator is being able to maybe lean into some of these other leadership traits that are going to help you understand that, yeah, I may not have all the answers, but collectively we probably do. We probably do. We as a whole probably have the answer, or we can come up with it, because, man, you know, we put our heads together, we're going to do great things. And therein lies the problem. And a lot of the leaders we talk to feel like their personal power is being taken away by exposing some of their weaknesses.
Or by letting more people in.
Or by letting more people in.
Yeah.
And in the end, that really is, if you define culture, it's a collective effort from everybody in the organization in order to achieve the goals of the organization.
Yeah. It's not arbitrary. It's not, wild hair out there stuff. It's like we're all bringing it in for this common purpose of what this organization is dedicated in doing, producing, serving. This is what it is. It can't be like, well, we have a special group here to save the brown squirrels of the universe.
Right. Yep.
That's good. I like it. I'm for that. Just do it outside of work. Could you do that maybe?
Right. Yeah.
Save those brown squirrels, doggone it, in the universe, but not here.
Not today. So, Maikel, this is one of the things that we do is going into organizations. The first step we take is working with the senior leadership team to really determine if you are ready to go down this path. Because if you're not ready to go down this path, don't set out down the path and,
because it only gets uglier.
It gets uglier, and it's going to get uglier before you.
If you're not ready for the ugly, let's not exacerbate your situation.
Yeah. So, and you're going to hear that. It doesn't matter. You're going to hear that.
Yeah, you will.
You will hear that.
Just a matter.
But it's good. You got to take the good with the bad if you're going to make those changes.
Yeah. That's right. If you really claim to be that arbitrator, then you'll be more than happy. You'll be excited to welcome that kind of, let's just take a look at it, really.
Yep. And that involves the strategic thinking. Man, we got the data now. We've got the data. We know where we're at. Now let's take this to the team and let's fix this.
Let's start working stuff out.
Yeah, that golden triangle.
It always have been, really and truly. Okay, so people want to get a hold of us. What do? We've said it how many times? How many podcasts have we done?
This is episode 169. Episode 169.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm sure we've said 169 plus times, but yeah, Executive Leaders Act, ILEC.com. Or MaikelBailey.com or richbaronexecutivecoaching.com.
There you go.
You can get a hold of us right there. 3 very simple ways to talk to us.
You have no excuses.
Yeah. So now you know the what, you know the how, and the why is because we need great leaders.
We do. There's no joking about that. We absolutely need great leaders now more than ever. And if that really is inside of you to be a great leader, it's not going to just happen. It really comes from a lot of hard work and working with people to help you get there faster, cleaner, a better level of really able to serve. That's what we do. We get down to a nutshell. All right. That's it.
Once again, thank you. We're at the end of another rousing episode of Mainline Executive Coaching ACT. And remember, that stands for and cultural transformation. You have to act in order to get cultural transformation. So, ball's in your court. We're waiting to hear from you.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Again, Happy New Year. Let's make it a great year.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All the best.
With all of the issues facing organizations today, leadership development and cultural transformation are needed more than ever. Go to our website, Executive Leaders Act, ILEC.com. Book some time with us. Let's sit down and talk and get you on the path to success. This podcast was brought to you by Intelligent Leadership Executive Coaching, ILEC, the world's foremost authority on leadership development and cultural transformation. Once again, for Mainline Executive Coaching, ACT, this is Rich Barron and Maikel Bailey.